This is recording, okay.
This is Carl Chun-Sung Yang interviewing Miss Herta Friede at 8 p.m. on June 8th, 2016. The interview is taking place at room number 1407 of the New Kukje Hotel at 12 Sejongdaero 22 Gil in Seoul. The video camera operator is Kim Tae-hee. Your oral history interview will be used for the second oral history project for foreign activists related to Korean democracy movement being conducted by KDF. I'm so honored to meet you and take the chance to get to know your vigorous activities in Korea during the very horrible dictatorship in 1970s and 1980s. As I was also in jail for 2 years and 3 months.
Oh.
Yes, in 1970s, because I organized student demonstration.
So you belong to the student movement?
Yeah, also he was in jail together with me at the time, yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I really thank you for your allowing this interview and really take this interview very special for me and for you together.
Okay, thank you.
Before I begin this interview, I'd like to mention that I'm not a Christian and have no religious background. So I may not be able to your word sometimes if it's related to religion. So
not so much.
So I would ask you to speak a little bit slowly, but a little bit loud because they have to write down what you told.
You have to write down?
Later on.
Later on.
Yes. And so also I have to avoid misunderstanding. So, okay, shall I start the interview now? No?
You
Okay.
put the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, really. First of all, I'd like to hear about your personal history. So, your birth date, your grown-up period, and school days. Will you?
Okay. I have grown up in a small village in the south of Germany, but it was a refugee family.
Refugee.
After the Second World War, 30% of the German population were refugees, were displaced from eastern parts, which we have lost in the war, to the western parts. During this war, Germany have lost a lot of regions and the people were displaced. They were running away voluntarily or they were displaced by force. My family was displaced by force to the western time. My family were farmers, but they lost everything because they lost their land, because they were displaced. So they realized as a consequence, what you have in head, nobody can take you away. So they were sending their children to school. So I had, as the first person in my family, I had possibility to go to university, to make high school and to go to university. My education is I'm a sociologist. And after university, I was immediately going in the development aid, in the international relation and in the development aid sector. My whole professional life I worked in different areas of the world with different agencies of development aid. A long period I worked with a German Protestant church-related development aid agency, which is EZD. So this I can summarize my personal history.
So you mean your family originally lived in Eastern Germany, East Germany?
In a part of Eastern Europe, which is today Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia. After the Second World War, the Czech people said, their exile government said, we have 3 million Germans, but we don't want them anymore. They're too dangerous. It was this period of fascism, nationalism,
Yes.
and so they agreed to pull them out and to bring them to the real German parts. Yes.
I see.
And this experience as a refugee family, I think, was a very, very important experience.
So EJT is it when did you join the EJT?
I joined EZD was my second profession, my second employment. My first employment was a little organization, voluntary organization. My second was EZD, and there I immediately got in. I got engaged for the Far East. I was the Far East secretary. Far East secretary meant at this time it was defined by Burma, Thailand, the Indochina, and Korea. But the main activities, of course, was with the Christian churches in Korea, South Korea. At this time, we didn't treat at all with North Korea.
Before you joined the EJT, you mentioned a volunteer organization?
No, before I was joining ECD, I was working my first employment after university. Still not very much experienced. I was in a small organization. Then a little bit more experience I was getting to the big organization ECD.
But is it same kind of job or different?
It was higher. It was a higher responsibility, of course. Yes. And ECD is a big organization with a lot of government money.
So then, when did you join EJT?
I was joining ECD in 1976, exactly when I was joining for Korea.
Yeah, I see. So then, can you explain what is EGE is doing?
Yes, okay.
What is their main activities?
Okay. To put it like that, ECD is an abbreviation for Central Protestant Agency, a German abbreviation for Central Protestant Agency. It's to start it like that. When this development aid international business started in the beginning of the 60s, in the whole world, it was starting in the beginning of the 60s, the development aid business. The German government, from the beginning, decided to give a lot of the German government money to social groups within Germany. These social groups were the political parties, which were represented in parliament, not small things, but parliament, and the two churches, the Catholic and the Protestant church. So a lot, let us say about 30% of the government money, which is defined for development aid internationally, is going to these social institutions, churches and political parties, and they can use it in their partner network globally, worldwide, to support projects and programs or to send their own people there. And this decision was taken because Germany was not a colonial power, though they didn't have international relations and international experience. They didn't have civil servant who could speak French and Spanish, and didn't know anything. So they were going to especially to the churches, and said, "Your mission work is going on since long time already. So can you not help us and join us in this new field?" And the Catholic churches said immediately, "Yes, we do it." And the Protestant churches were a bit hesitant. This is government money. We don't like it, so it's too. So there was an association created, besides the hierarchy of the church, an association. And this association was named Central Protestant Agency, ECD. So the task of ECD was, with the government money coming from the government, it was in the network, global network, to support projects, and then of course afterwards to control and financial reports and reporting and things like that.
So you mean the government money for foreign countries from the government went to political parties and the Catholic and Protestant.
Yes.
So this Protestant part is easy.
ECD, yes, exactly.
Then how could you? Yeah, I know you majored in sociology in university. Sociology, social science. You studied.
I studied sociology, yes, social science.
So how come could you join such religion-based activities like EG?
Okay, at this time and also today, a lot of different professions are coming in this development aid agency.
I see.
The majority are economists or sociologists or there's this general studies, yes, and but also I was coming in because during my study time, during my university time, I was already an activist, a very prominent activist in the solidarity groups for third world countries. At this time it was named third world countries, yes. I was already active in solidarity and had a lot of experience beside my study already. So I had already defined my way I wanted to go.
So I remember in 1960s, the young university student in Germany was very active in environmental protection or social justice.
We had some kind, as you call it, a student revolution.
Yes.
It means the '68 revolution, yes, of course.
Yes. So,
and a lot of these activists at this time of this student movement were going then in this third world and the third world solidarity groups.
So from that time, you were a prominent leader.
Yes, I was already, besides in the university, a leader in this field, so it was easy for me then to go professionally in this field.
I see. Anyhow, EGE is actually designed for assisting foreign countries.
Yes.
So it's economically and socially and culturally, environmentally, every kind of
development.
Yes.
And development. What means development, of course, has to define country by country. But it means the country has to be defined as a developmental country, which has still a level of poor people. So that was the reason why in the 90s, in the middle of the 90s, by slowly phasing out, we were totally going out of Korea. Not like mission societies, so there are still mission societies, they are still here. We had a lot of reporter days. They are here since 25 years, from the beginning in the 50s until now, they are here together with their churches. But we as a development agency, which has the aim to help the development, as soon as a country has a defined level of middle income country, you name it middle income country, that was then we said goodbye.
So when did you say goodbye to Korea?
It was decided at the end of the 80s, and in the middle of the 90s. Of course, you cannot say, okay, now we go and we leave you like that. Huh? But it was discussed and phased out and made plans. Okay, we are now reducing the fund. You have to look now for the chaebols of Korea, that they come in with their social responsibility or other funding also. And I must make a compliment. All the Korean partners, they managed to go on with their work, and they managed to have other funds or to create other incomes, and so they were not really depending on these donor agencies. They make it going on like that.
So until you say goodbye to Korea, until middle of 1980s, you worked for this organization, so you had a connection with Korea. From
Not I. I worked for Korea between 76 until the beginning of 81.
76 to
beginning of 81.
81, or about 5 years.
Or 4.5, you can say. I had the reason why I was going out. First, I was coming from French-speaking African countries. I was speaking French. At this time, there were not very much people who were speaking French in this age of this. So they offered me a higher position for French-speaking Africa to take over the corporation within ECD. The second was another egoistic one. I thought to myself, it's no use to specialize in Korea because in 5 years, 6 years you don't need anymore, and then you cannot do anything with your specialization. No, on the labor market, nobody is demanding for specialized Korean people because there's no donor agency anymore involved in Korea. So I said better to quit.
Yes.
But it was Muslim. It was Dr. Karl Schönberg was coming in, and he's a good friend of mine. He was taking over, and that was for the Koreans. They even didn't realize it.
Is Karl Schönberg?
Schönberg.
Schönberg was your
successor.
Your successor?
Successor. He was my successor.
Oh, yes.
And he was taking over.
Then who was your predecessor?
Yes. There was really no predecessor. I don't know anymore.
Okay. Anyhow.
But it was not very important. But Karl Schönberg, he was very important too. Yes.
Yes. Anyhow, you joined the EZE. You are Protestant. However, the reason you joined the EZE is from your sociology background, right?
Yes.
So as a social activist, you joined, right?
Yes. And that is to say, that is also in the donor in EZE. This is also not the rule, but it is possible, or it wished. If you are a really very, very dedicated and very believing Christian, and you have to deal with a lot of money, and you have then to deal with a corrupt bishop, and to say no to this corrupt bishop, for you it's difficult. More difficult when somebody who is a Christian, but he is not such engaged Christian as a missionary, for example. So the majority of the people who are working in these agencies with big money, they are more socially dedicated than Christian dedicated. Their motivation is more socially, of course with a Christian background, but the motivation is more socially.
So our talk must be focused on the middle of 1970s and people until you leave Korea, 1981.
1980, and the beginning of 80. Let us say 80.
So when did you come to Korea first time?
I was coming to Korea in 77. 77.
And when you arrived here, what was your first impression about this country?
It was a cultural shock.
What kind of shock?
I was coming from Africa, which had a totally different culture and social and economic situation.
Yes.
And I was coming to Korea, and I realized the task you have here as a donor agency must be different, because the people, they understand economy, they know capitalism, they understand capitalism, they understand the modern world, this global modern world. It's not like in Africa where you have to explain this. So your role must be a different role. It was taking me quite some time. The first impression was, of course, oh my dear, I was arriving at the airport. Since a long time, nobody from ECD was there. Everybody knows that there was a lot of money behind this person who arrives. So, and Korean Christian Academy, the old partner, was picking me up at the airport and said, nobody knows that you are here. We didn't say to anybody that you are, because they will bother you from midnight until morning and from morning until midnight. So we will arrange all the meetings for you. Nobody knows that you are here. Mm-hmm. I enter my room in the hotel. Mm-hmm. There was flower bucket of Hanse University, flower bucket of Summit Vocational High School, of Eva University, of hospital, this, of this. So this is an example how effective the Koreans are working to get their aims realized.
Then you mean you came here very confidentially? But
they tried, but the Koreans always
everyone knows.
Have a mean to get to their aims, to get to know where this guy or this girl has to be contacted. Yeah. But it was not bad. Yeah. Just a funny story.
Yeah, I see. Then when you arrived here first time, what topic, what issue you intended to focus on? So there are lots of...
When I arrived the first time, of course I had, there were a lot of different projects presented to ECD already. I had a lot of papers with me with asking for funds, plans, and the majority of these plans were construction work. The big educational and medical institutions of the Christian, they wanted an expansion of this hospital there, and the universities, of course, Christian universities, there are a lot here. This Christian universities here. Some, of course, I had all, because you have to continue, there were promises, there were plans, but within the 4 years I was in charge, I slowly shifted the program. And my successor was then going on shifting the program
from construction
to programs, from construction to programs, and from let us say middle class projects. Middle class, a student is a middle class person, to poor people. And poor people, or let us say oppressed people, and these were the farmers, the slum dwellers.
Farmers and?
Slum.
Yes,
at this time we had slums here, at this time, in Seoul. Or the majority target groups, the most important target group were, of course, the women in the factories, in the free export zones factories, peace market, free export zones. But this was very complicated. Also, it is.
So, in the beginning, your project focused on construction, but later on, you moved it to the programs, social programs for farmers and women and laborers and,
and the poor
middle
people.
Class.
Yes. With the poor people. Yes.
So then, in the beginning stage, when you focused on construction, who are your major partners?
The Christian universities.
Christian universities.
You can take them all.
So can you indicate how much did you spend for construction project?
They were always big projects of 1, 2, 3 million
US dollar.
Yes. So when you take about 5, 6 of this project, you can say about Korea was known as at this time as somebody who swallowed a lot of money for construction. At this time also the structures of partners who could manage the money, overseas money, was still quite limited. Today is not any more problem. And so sometimes the donor agencies were also happy to have this potential, efficient, clearly oriented institution to get some projects clearly done. Yes.
Can you name one of them? I mean,
Hanze University.
Hanze.
Hanze
Yes.
University. Samil Vocational High School. I think Samil.
Samil? It's okay. No need.
Christian Broadcasting System. That was also one.
Christian Broadcasting, yes, sir.
Yes.
CBS.
Then this. This is an old CBS, yes. Then. Okay, Hanal Vocational School.
하늘 직업학교. Then, so when did you decide to shift from construction to programs?
As I told, that was a process was going on from from the beginning, but it was taking some time. But it was taking. Thank you.
Then let's talk about the programs one by one. So what was what can you say as an examples of a farmers project? I mean,
the most important farmer project were the farmer training program of the Christian Academy.
Christian Academy, yes.
And it was also so efficient that after, I think it was in 1978, the leader was imprisoned for 4 years.
So with the farmers, what kind of things did you do?
At this time there was a Semaul Udong movement,
yes, Semaul.
which was a movement to integrate farmers in a clear system of explosion of really to shift away from agriculture and to force the people to go to the industrializing zone.
Yes.
That was somehow to control the people.
Yes.
And to indoctrinate the people. It was a dictatorship.
Yes.
To indoctrinate the people that they was doing what the state was doing, and not what the government, about what the people interest was. That was in this time also on the farmer sector, YMCA was very active. YMCA.
Yes.
And there was a big association of rice banks.
Rice banks.
Rice banks.
Rice bank.
Rice banks which help the farmers to save surplus without using the bank system of the government. Mm-hmm. Rice banks was also very important. There was an association of rice banks, the YMCA, and the Christian Academy, which were the most important in, let us say, in rural development.
Yes.
And in Urban Industrial Mission, there was a Yongdong Po. Yongdong Po Urban Industrial Mission was important, also imprisoned after some time. Then was a free export zone in Masan, I remember. Mm-hmm. Masan and Peace Market.
So urban industry mission.
Mission, yes.
Yes, mission.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it was very famous at the time. Yes, they really supported many labor union. So can you explain your activities more in detail about the labor related?
Our activities of ECD is always just to support financially programs where we had agreed upon. ECD and these agencies, they're never active themselves. We just
support money.
Support with money.
Yes.
We meet the people, they explain, we agree, we discuss, and then afterwards, of course, there's a lot of administrative work to do, but the responsibility for executing the program and to have the capacity to execute the program is on the side of the local people, which is quite important, because then it is not alienated by other people.
So for the laborers, you normally you worked with the urban industry
Measure, yes.
UIM.
It was at this time the only way to do it. There were no legal trade unions existing or
at that
something
time.
At this time.
Yes.
No.
So,
And of course, the social departments of the churches, the Methodist Church social department, they had also some activities.
yes. At the time, yes.
And PCK and PRK.
Yes. At the time, yes. I remember.
You remember?
Yes. Many of my friends also went to the factory to be laborer, to initiate the labor movement there. Yes. So you...
Yes, we had at this time a big struggle. Korea is, in this cultural area, the only, we discussed it the last 2 days, is the only, you can say, country which have a homemade democratization process.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
Homemade.
Yeah.
In Japan it was imposed by the Americans, yes.
Yes.
And so and in Thailand it's also imposed.
So like a home brewery beer in Germany.
After the Second World War, in Germany it was also imposed. But before the Second World War, we had a democracy, which of course afterwards failed in the fascist regime. But the experience was there. Huh? But you have struggled, you can say, about 20 years.
Yeah, very
20
in a
years.
very short period.
About 20 years, a long period.
But we had to see lots of blood and yes.
Yes.
And let's talk about your activities with the women's. I mean, for women's. So, who were your major partners for women?
I think this was quite a difficult way. The reason for getting involved in women's work, of course, were especially first, I was a woman.
Yes, yeah.
And I was coming from the feminist movement in Europe. And there was also a book published in Germany by a Korean sociologist living in Germany. And also a German sociologist about the situation of women in Korea, about their legal status at this time, and before the reform of the family law in 1972, the women, they had no possibility to participate in the heritage of the family. Divorce, by divorce they couldn't, they got not anything. How you can divorce if you have 2 children and afterwards you have nothing? So you are not divorcing, you are just staying like that, yes, all the time.
Yes.
Also if he's beating you and he's drinking every day, so
Totally different from now. So nowadays women has much superior to men.
Oh yes, but it's still I think a lot to do. There's still a lot to do. The woman affair was going slowly because it was not so easy.
Yeah.
It also was again with the Korean Christian Academy. The Korean Christian Academy, the women, they created the first hotline, woman hotline.
여성회전화.
It was also not easy to convince the main hierarchy in Germany, that a woman hotline is something which means development. But woman hotline, what means development? It has to be discussed about it. And then another strong partner was EWA, of course.
EWA
University.
EWA University.
Yeah. I will visit them tomorrow. But there we had also a big discussion in Germany because a university for women, it was also something very rare also. Is the quality of education a woman university sufficient, was one of the questions in this way. And it was afterwards that when I was already going out, I think there was one of the most important things created. It was confirmed today in our discussion today. That was the Quao. The Quao is we say always Quao, but what means Korean Women Association United.
Ah, yes.
Korean Women's Association United. Wow.
Yes.
It was, now it has a legal status, but at this time it was under the umbrella of YMCA. Because it was impossible to have a legal status for that. At this time there was no association right existing under dictatorship. So they had, and with government money, we needed a legal partner. So it was Kang Mun-kyu,
yes.
and Samuel Lee,
Yes.
and his wife, Duksung, how is his name? Duksung.
덕성 Women's University.
And Dr. Chang from EWA. They were the committee, the election committee within this, and EZE was giving them a small project fund to this. The YMCA was a cover, and there was a committee, and there was a small project fund to support women groups which had no access to the big structure of official funding, and there was created a lot of powerful organizations which are still now existing, and which had women which had a lot of influence, also political influence, president of parliament and things like that. Yes, that was I think that was the most important cause and most important baby, to say it like that.
You told Korean published a book about Korean women's status.
In German.
Do you remember his name or her name?
The name of the woman was, just a moment, Kang, not Chang. Oh, there I have it. I think there's it. Here. No, that was it. I was looking for. Kang Jong. The lady was of this was Kang Jong-suk. Dr. Kang Jong-suk.
She published a book about
together with a German professor. She published a book in Germany. She's a sociologist living in Germany.
It was written in German.
In German, yes.
I see.
She's a sociologist is living in Germany. There were a lot of these people had studied with German church scholarships in Germany. Park Kyung-soo, the vice president of the Korean Christian Academy, Samuel Lee, and then Duk Soo Song, yes. Duk Soo Song, okay. And Chang, Dr. Chang from EWA University, Chang Yun Bae. Jang Yong-bae.
Chung Hyun-baek.
Jang Yong-bae, the director of the...
Chung Hyun-baek.
He's retired now, Jang Yong-bae.
Chung Hyun-baek.
Jang Hyun-baek.
She is a historian.
She's Korean, yeah.
Historian. Her major is history.
Could be,
Sociology.
but she also studied in Germany. This group which studied in Germany and were influenced very much by a lot of, let us say, also student revolution ideas of Germany at this time when they studied.
Yeah.
And
all they are involved in the women's movement. In Korea.
Jang Hyun-baek and Kang Moon-kyu and Samu Lee, for example, they are this famous committee of KWAU for supporting women groups.
Yes.
So they created a lot of
Also,
important things.
Some of them were engaged in the this 참여연대, participation solidarity. It's
Yes.
very famous NPO in Korea. Very active now. Yes, I see. Okay, so then let's talk about your successor, Karl.
Schönberg.
Yes.
You have the name written? Yes, you have it, no?
So I will
I
Given
cannot
his
see
name.
it.
Jang Yong-baek.
It's okay.
Yes. So, do you have any memory about him? What
Yes.
was his main contribution to Korea?
He is also a sociologist who made his doctorate degree in Thailand. About Thailand. So he was also, during his study already, he was an Asian person.
I see.
He made his doctorate degree about, I think, a labor union issue or something like that in Thailand. And the famous sociology of third world countries in Bochum University. And after his doctorate, he was directly coming to ECD. It was his first professional place, and he stayed his whole life. Now he's also retired, but he stayed his whole life within the Center for the State Agency. And he was phasing out Korea, and then afterwards he was mainly concentrating on Cambodia, Laos, and Philippines. Cambodia, Laos, Philippines mainly, yes.
So then he was how many years did he work in Korea?
As I told, he was taking over in 81 until it was phasing out in 99, when it was decided to phase out, and then Korea was not anymore had a really full-time secretary, so it was just taken as a side affair by some other people. But it.
And then what is you while you were staying in Korea, then you were not engaged in the political activities, or did you ever?
In the 70s, you could be engaged in political activities directly. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, not directly political, but anyhow, you could support some opponent student or.
I had once a discussion with the Student Federation. I remember this discussion, but it was not coming out to. Probably it was. For government money, it was too hot. Very often, then these programs we were shifting to Bread for the World, where they're not dealing with government money; they were dealing with pure church money. So we said, okay, take it over. But I remember when I was meeting with a federation of students, and we had 6 of 7 students, we had a big discussion, and afterwards I was shaking hands, I said goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And I was going out, and then I heard a laugh behind, and then they were also, because it was not known to you at this time to shake, and they made shake hands each one with each other and laughed totally.
When was it? When you met the student federation? Or when was?
This was probably in 77. I don't know, or in 78. In one of this year, I don't know anymore. I remember only that we had a discussion. Then afterward, this funny situation, and probably I was intending to make some, but probably it was fast too hot with government money. We had some let us say counseling project with the NCCK, the National Council of Churches, which was at this time a quite political organization.
Yes, it's the most.
Kam Yung-kyu, there's a no, Kim Kwon-suk.
Kim Kwon-suk.
Kim Kwon-suk, yeah.
Yes, his son is working with me now. He passed away.
He passed away, yes.
His last son is working with me. Yes.
I liked him very much. He was a wonderful person.
Yes.
Yeah.
He studied in America and now came back to Korea and working with me. Yes. Okay. And then okay, so then can you indicate the name of person you maintained very close relationship during your stay in Korea? Who is the most familiar friend or person you?
I think the most familiar and the most influential person. I think it's not so much so personally, but the most influential person could be the Park Hyung-soo from the Korean Christian Academy. I met him yesterday.
Park Hyung-soo.
Park Hyung-soo, aha.
The vice of the Kang Won-young was he passed away.
Oh, yes.
And Park
He passed away.
So was the second person.
Yes.
He is also retired, but he's still very active in human rights activities.
Yeah, still, yes.
Especially with North Korea, also. Yes.
And then, okay, now I'll ask you another question about South Korean living in Germany. I know there are lots of Korean miners and nurses working in Germany. So also some of them were engaged in South Korean democracy movement. So did you have any relationship with them?
At this time, we were knowing that there were about 50,000 in Germany. 50,000.
50,000.
Yes.
Wow. Both together, you mean?
Mining people were about 10,000.
10,000.
And
those
I was reading it before I was coming here because you sent me. This was very helpful to send me these questions. So I was informing myself about it, and there were about 50. There were about 10,000 were mining people, and the others were the nurses, Korean nurses. Of course, of the Korean nurses, 60% stayed in Germany, because such lovely and obedient women are very much appreciated
by German men.
By German men, yes, of course.
Yes.
So, and these are still today. The Korean-German community is dominated by this family of this mixed marriage of German. I know. During my life, I had met several of this. But the person which we, as an agency, and let us say, which was for us present for this situation, was Samuel Lee. Samuel Lee, at this time, he was in charge of the contacts for especially for the mining people, because they were in a quite miserable situation. They were very much concentrated in one place and were quite isolated, and he also was keeping contact with the agencies. Yes.
You were never married, right? You were married or?
No, I'm not married.
Never married.
No.
Because of Korean nurses, maybe.
Let's not go into details about that.
Okay,
it's a long story.
A few years ago, I went to Berlin to attend an international conference there. I met one Korean student
married student. So he was studying there alone with his family living in Korea. So he told, on weekend, he is never welcomed, invited. But the Korean ladies are welcomed by German men. But Korean men never were welcomed by German lady. So, yeah, it's a mismatching.
This is perhaps a reflection also about what is the image of the Korean man.
Yeah, so that we have to send more Korean men to love German lady.
But there are some German ladies who are living in Korea also.
Yeah, yes.
With their Korean men.
Yes, and let's. You stayed here until 1981.
Mm.
So then, during the Gwangju massacre, you
It was just at the end of my being concerned for Korea. Esther was, I don't know when was this. I remember very vividly the massacre. Esther was at this time in charge for Korea. It must have been in the 880, no? It was.
Yes, 1980.
It was 1980, May 1980. Yes. I know I remember the role of the YWCA at this time.
Mm.
They had courts. I remember courts with YWCA because, of course, the German press was running behind us and said what was happening. So that I remember was of the YWCA. But let us say, I didn't much follow it up in, let us say, the afterwards to help and because at the end of beginning of 81 I was already out, and Karl Schönberg was taking over.
When you heard the story, the news first time, well, how did you feel?
That was immediately in the German newspaper from 1 hour to another. It was from 1 hour to another in German newspaper, and we got a call from the press because.
So faster than Korean know the news. Korean was the
probably closed down.
Yes. Government yes.
It's very often I realized in my life that we in the western part are better informed than the people living within the area. Yes, very often. Yes. No, it was immediately in the news. It was immediately spread around. I don't know how. That sure, and probably this is the normal ways that there are some journalists who is at this time we didn't have emails, but still we had fax at this time. This we had and telex and and things like that, and I must say at this time the German embassy was also very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
When I was arriving in Korea on the airport it's still at the Kimpo airport. Kimpo airport. Arriving at the airport, I was received by the Secret Service. They immediately were looking all my papers and there they found.
They checked
They checked all my papers, and there I found hospitals and John's University and vocational school there and things like that. Every thing or other things were going by diplomatic
baggage.
And also back.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going out, they checked all my papers and said, "Oh, here, can I be helpful, please?"
Mm-hmm.
But the whole communication, it was still to an extent that there was an official demand of the Korean government to the German government. There must be somehow a hole within the German embassy. There must be somehow.
So your ambassador helped you.
It was very helpful at this time, yes. Which is not normally the case of the embassies.
But your organization didn't take any special action to Gwangju Massacre?
Uh,
What kind of?
no, let us say, EZE organization. Of course, we had EZE organization is a technical organization. Of course, we had the church bodies.
Aha.
The church bodies like also the mission work and the Berlin mission and the Stuttgart mission and the official National Council of Churches of Germany. They of course were taking action, but EZE is a technical organization.
Yes.
They anyhow they don't take action this way because it would not be helpful afterwards to continue the work.
Yes.
We are doing the work and they are making the public. So this is division of labor. So
I see. I understand.
what we did we helped YWC in Gwangju to re-establish.
Okay, it's about 1 hour past. So, what about having a break?
Okay.
So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you choose.
I'm not tired, so we can have a break
So
of 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay.
And I check the other questions to be better prepared.
Okay.